Hey guys, this is Sandra from the Alexandrite System, and today we are here with Jenna from the D.I.D system.
Hey.
I have a lot of questions about how you navigate that with your kids.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
just I guess starting with how do you navigate that with your kids?
So the first part is like we didn't know we were a system until like 2, 3 years ago,
Mm,
um, and we've always presented as whoever is in the front.
mm,
They kind of they put on the mom hat, but like Anthony has like vocal fry and talks low, and Lil's very high, and they say she has a real distinct cadence from me.
mhm,
Um, and they don't they I feel like they try and rein it in a little.
mhm,
Um, but they just interact with the boys as themselves. They haven't announced themselves, but they just go. They do the parenting as who they are, and because there is a lot of variation in normal interactions, like the boys haven't been like, "Well, you're real strange today, mom."
mhm,
It's more of just like, well, mom wants to play board games today, and or maybe mom's more reserved today. It's really funny to me to watch the different parts parent,
mhm,
because Anthony. So honestly, neither I nor Anthony are kid people. Like we have
mm,
our kids; these are our kids. All the other kids have cooties. So like when he was first out, and the kids were like, "Mom, mom," like his first time, he was like, "Okay, I got this," and he does, but it's not natural. Like and for me, it's not natural. And I people all the time are like, "Man, your kids have such a large vocabulary, and they're all that," and that's because I, while I interact with them like a child, I do it in a way like I don't know. My brain is very logical and just, and I don't think about like not using big words. I just then define the large word that I used. And so
mm,
it's been nice with Lil because she interacts with them like a child. And she'll tell me, she'll be like, you know, kids don't really like that, or this would be a better. And I'm like, you're right. Thank you. So it's been helpful in some way having other perspectives on parenting because Lil's is very different. Jennifer Adriana is honestly, I think she's probably the best
mhm,
at parenting, which you wouldn't think of like an angry protector kind of falter,
mhm,
but she's very nurturing with the children. And if they do something that's like injurious to each other, because she's okay with a swift response, she'll be like, "No, that's unacceptable. That's not
mhm,
how we react to each other. You do not hit your brother. You're now removed from the situation." And she has no problem being decisive. Um, and so Elizabeth was out today, and they had just this knockdown drag out where they're yelling and wailing, and boys at 11 and 13 yelling and wailing. Just so you
yeah,
know, you could expect that if you get those. Um, and so she comes in and she's very like, okay, so state your side, state your side. Do you see why that hurt him? So it's in some ways it's been really helpful, and they haven't. They just kind of like, well, mom's a little more this way or a little more that way today.
mhm,
They do know I have PTSD,
mhm,
so we've explained kind of like, well, this is kind of triggering for mom, so I'm just going to go and do whatever to kind of help myself.
mhm,
And so they understand that, but we try not to draw a very clear boundary. So if Jack can tell, he's my oldest, and he's very much caretaker by nature.
mhm,
One of the reasons I do not want to involve him in the diagnosis is because he's already a caretaker by nature.
mm,
And I have physical limitations that he's like, "Hey, mom, you should sit down. Do you need anything?" And I'm like, I can take care of myself because I want him to not take on the role of taking care of a parent.
mhm,
And so when he can tell I'm having a rough time emotionally, he'll like, "Oh, mom, do you?" And I'm like, "Nobody. I'm just gonna go and take some self care. I'm gonna have like a bath or whatever. But thank you." Um, to kind of draw a very clear boundary of, as the mom, I don't need you to take on this role. Like, me and your dad, we support each other. I go to counseling. Like, that's where I get that kind of thing from. And I think that's been really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I need like a second to absorb that.
Well, as soon as I stopped talking, I was like, I just totally like dumped a whole lot of
No, no, no,
information
no.
out.
It was great. I love when people just like, I don't know, you know, we're autistic. We understand info dumping.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think I definitely understand that, and um, yeah, that's all just really interesting to hear. Who do you think in your system has the hardest time parenting?
Um. hmm. So of the active fronters, I would say probably Anthony, just because like this is new for him, but he doesn't. It's not like he doesn't want to. He throws himself into it. It's
Mhm,
just like, oh, like it doesn't come naturally. He has to think about, okay, so how do I respond to this? Um, and so I think just because it doesn't come naturally and he has to think about it more, I would say Anthony. Um, Jen would get, I think, um, more overwhelmed a little bit more easily.
mhm,
And like as a trauma holder, that, you know, it would just be easier for her to have noises startle and just to be like, oh, I've had enough stimulation. Um, and surprisingly, the littles do great. They have like a better understanding of what it's like to be a kid, but they have like the adult input of like these even if you're a kid you can't do certain things, and so it has made for really um, smooth parenting, strangely.
yeah.
So any, like you said, parenting questions or anything else?
If you could give some advice to any other uh, systems who are parents out there, what would be your advice?
Mm. um, for systems who are parenting, I would say my main advice would be my advice to any parent, which is make sure you have a lot of self care in place.
Mhm,
Um, because as a parent, you're giving all these resources, and if you don't take care of yourself, like things are going to spiral, and especially more so if you're a system and then you're not taking care of yourself and your alters are not getting the care that they need. They're not going to be able to adequately be present. And so I'd say having self-care, having people who are available if you just need a moment to call and be like, hey, can you just come over so I can take a moment and you know, process something or ground. I think that those would be really important resources.
mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.